digest. From lane to the new shining ground, echo chants where the legends are found. Heroes carved in the heart of time, we march on through grit and grime. Oh Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. Oh Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. Echoes of King and Greaves in the air. Every goal, the sound declares. Heartbeats pound like a drummer's song, marching forward, fierce and strong. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. I'm Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. I'm Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire.
Yes, guys, and welcome to the greatest show on earth. Yes, welcome to THFC till I die. Home Tottenham past, present, and some sort of an exciting future. On to Thomas Frank. Yes, it was heartbreak in the northeast last night. Tottenham lost 2-0 to Newcastle. We're going to talk a bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit Celtic situation as well. Another club close to me in Dave's heart, with the resignation of Brendan Rodgers, the character assassination of Dermot Desmond, and asking the question, should chairman be a bit more like Dermot Desmond? Do we need a bit more of that in our game? And also looking forward to Chelsea and general football chat. Any comments, guys, you want us to talk about? Of course, this is Irish Lads Talk Spurs. Tottenham always come first, but we will dabble into a few other areas of the game. Mr. Harris, I know you're hurting like me last night, disappointed. We can already see the glaring problems, but how are you, sir?
Yeah, in life, generally good. After last night,
Yeah.
very, very disappointed, Dermo.
Yeah, I am too. What disappointed me the most last night, Dave, was the way that some of the players went about it last night. Some of them had opportunities, but can I just say one thing? Please, for the love of God, can Richarlison and Brendan Johnson be given their P45s this morning, or told to pack their bags and go and play in the reserves? I never want to see the pair of them in the Spurs shirt again. I mean, any striker worth his salt last night, Dave, could have scored a hat-trick last night. Should have scored a hat-trick last night. Brendan Johnson, the first cross within the first 2 minutes, Dave, I just went, what the fuck? I mean, that wasn't even a cross. And then he's there when we conceded the goal, banging the ball like a fucking a little baby throwing the tantrum. Do you know, I think they were the worst two players on the pitch last night, Dave. Above, and Kingsley was near enough there, but them two should never play for Tottenham again.
Yeah, no, look, I get it, but at the end of the day, Thomas Frank selected them. You know, he put them out there. I'm not being funny. He put them out there against Bodo They weren't good enough to go and win Bodo. We had to bring our better players off the bench to rescue a point that night.
Yeah.
He set us up from failure from minute one with that team selection. But you not
Yeah,
starting Mwani or Kudos was a huge mistake on his part. You know,
Yeah,
surely
it
when
was.
he looked at that front line that he put out there, twofold. One, he should have looked, okay, Newcastle are going to come at us nice and early, which they did. They pressed us aggressively and everything else. So I was fully correct on that. We need an out ball. Richarlison tried to hold up. He held up the ball okay in the first half last night. But, he couldn't combine with Xavi Simons or Johnson. I'm not being funny, but we've seen this front line put out there before. We know it's very underwhelming. Like, people go, oh, players need to rest. Mwani doesn't need rest. He's played 2 fucking games this year. What rest does that guy need? There's no excuse for it. And where I find it unforgiving towards Thomas Frank, and by the way, this isn't me turning on Thomas Frank, but one of my big questions when we hired him is, how can he handle the domestic campaign alongside the Cups and Europe? It's something he has never done at Brentford. He's gone out at the first time of asking. And what annoys me is you see many fans trying to justify it. We don't care about the League Cup. Ange Postecoglou made a semi-final last year. In a semi-final under Conte, and Jose Mourinho went all the way to a final and then got sacked just before it. So, the reality is Thomas Frank may not care about the Cups, and that's what he gave off last night by selecting that team. But any other manager who's won everywhere else they've been did care about the Cup, did go deep in the Cup. So for me, I think Frank set us up from failure last night, and he's put massive pressure on this Chelsea game now, because the whole idea was to rest players for the Chelsea game. And many fans are acting like it's a given we're going to beat Chelsea on the weekend. If we don't beat Chelsea on the weekend, then the sacrificing the Carabao Cup was for absolutely nothing.
I agree. I totally agree. Look, I thought Shafi played well last night, Dave. I thought, as Wayne said, he grew into the game. I thought he tried last night. There's 1 or 2 players I thought did try their best, but there was a lot of players there last night. This was their chance. This was their opportunity to make a mark for themselves. You're right about Kolo as well. Kolo should have played last night. No doubt why he should have been rested. But if he's now, as you said, marked the Chelsea game more important than last night, then I'm extremely disappointed in Thomas Frank, because I wanted to win the League Cup. You're only 3 games. You win that, you're 3 games away from Wembley. Another final, another trophy. Put that in the bag. That's 2 trophies in near enough 12 months. And then you get the breed of winning. That was the discussion last night. Also, Dave, we're going to talk a bit about the Celtic situation. Brendan Rodgers being sacked. We'll get away from Tottenham a little bit and have a little bit of a giggle on Desmond Dermott's statement he put out Monday evening, which I thought was a bit bizarre. And I am going to ask the question, could you imagine Daniel Levy doing that against Conte or Mourinho or something like that? And also, Dave, we're going to look ahead to Chelsea. What do you want to see from Thomas Frank and the players? So let's welcome a few people in the chat as well. And let's enjoy this trip. I know it's hard for me and Dave. We're a bit angry and upset, but we're going to try to relax a little bit and have a bit of put a smile on both our faces. We've got Wayne Bonner. Good afternoon, Dermot and Dave, all in the chat. Watching. Hope you're well. Disappointed last night. We're going to crush Chelsea 7-0. I can see Dave running down to the bookies now and putting a bet on that. We've got I'm not even going to try to name that name. I don't know if Dave wants a crack. No. Good intro, Dermot. Thank you very much. Big up, Dermot and David. Big up to you. Wayne said Richie was shite first half, woke up second half. Don't think he woke up second half. Johnson keeps pissing me off. He's too invisible every game. Bergville, good player, but keeps the ball too long. Totally agree. Big up to Tequila. Big up to Dermot and Dave, my favourite pair of double Ds. Big up to you, Tequila. Frank out. Martin in. Make it happen, Dermot. No, we're not. He's not coming. No. Even though you found Russell Martin exciting the Rangers, right, and you found him a bit of a giggle, he's not coming. No way. Big up Joe Blogs, Evening, Dermot, Dave. Big up to you, Joe. Hope you're doing well. Big up to Wayne. Frank's job is to get into the Champions League all right, let me get this right. Frank's job is to get into the Champions League, as unrealistic as it is to me. So he can't prioritise the cups much as we want him to. I mean, let's start there, Dave. Look, Thomas Frank said he wanted to win the League Cup. He wanted to win trophies. He said that in his press conference. And then last night, he made it very clear, I'm prioritising Chelsea over this game. Look, for me, it was disappointing because I think as I said before, it was a chance for us to win the trophy. has Thomas Frank put himself under more pressure now? If we don't win against Chelsea, would some of the fan base be really on his back after this?
Yeah, I think, look, there's a couple of unforgiving games in Tottenham fans' eyes, you know. One is going out of the cup. Fans do not like going out of the cup. And then also, losing to your biggest rivals. There are games where other managers have sort of suffered the same fate, and it's been very unforgiving from there forward. And I think, look, it could be the same for Frank. Look, I'm not one of them where I think we need to press the emergency button and get Frank out and stuff like that. I'm well aware of, how bad we are going forward. It's something I even tried to highlight under Ange Postecoglou. That's why I didn't blame him for absolutely everything. And anyone that did is looking quite silly right now, especially in terms of the amount of injuries we're carrying and stuff like that. But for me, I just don't think he gave himself the best opportunity to win the cup, and that's a huge problem for me. Like, for years, it was get Levy out of this football club. We want to go after trophies, this, that, and the other. And the minute he's gone now, people are sitting there going, oh, it's all about the league. Then why chase Daniel Levy out of the football club then if it's all about the league now? That's what he wanted. So you're just sort of singing off his hymn sheet. For me, I'm just not happy with it. I don't think he gave us, don't get me wrong, I think the tactical setup and the way he approached the game in terms of the tactics and stuff were spot on. But he never picked the personnel to go and win this. And he can sit there and say all he wants in the press conference. It's lip service. You have to be able to back it up. One thing people got frustrated at Ange with, all last season was, I always win in my second year. Every league game he lost, people brought that quote back out. And for me, it's the exact same with Thomas Frank. Lip service is one thing. I'd look and judge the people by their actions off the back of it. And the actions he done last night in terms of selecting that lineup, and people can sit there and try and justify it all they want. People go, we need to rest players. Archie Gray picked up an injury in training. And that can very easily happen. You can pick up injuries in training and doing other things, not just playing on the football pitch. So that logic doesn't compute. We still play Pedro Porro every single game, so he never seems to get rested. And there's no excuse for resting Kolo Muani yesterday. The guy's problem is his fitness, which means he needs minutes to build up that fitness, not rest. So for me, I think he got it completely wrong yesterday. And I question his desire to pick up silverware at Tottenham off the back of his team selection last night.
No, I agree with that in a way that he got his selection wrong last night, Dave. I agree, he got his tactics wrong too. I think it's very evident in the first couple of seconds of that game how much Newcastle wanted it more than us last night. I wouldn't say there was a lack of desire, but there was a lack of, there really was. Tottenham didn't look good last night. That first half was dreadful. It was woeful. And there was no communication. There was no leadership. There was nothing in that team last night. And we missed the likes of Mickey van der Ven. We missed players like that. Look at the goalkeeper. I said on Tuesday night, that I didn't want to drop Vicario because I said if you put Kinski in, you're going to be in a world of trouble. He's regressed in training, and I wouldn't have put him in last night. I got told, well, you need to play him, Dermot. You need to play him. You need to put him in because how's he supposed to get game time? Well, I'm sorry, I was proven right. You put Kinski in. There's no communication between the back four. You got Danso then making a mistake, put the ball out for the first goal. And don't talk to me about the first goal, Dave. I mean, the referee.
But Dermot,
what an idiot.
is this whole, oh, we've got to give them game time, not the problem as is. Like,
I think
I'm not
is.
being funny, but I grew up in an era where you earned your game time. You earned your minutes on the pitch. It was never just afforded to you. And it seems like somewhere along the line that's changed, where all of a sudden we're handing out minutes just for the sake of it. You earn your minutes. I'm not being funny, but did Richarlison and Johnson earn their minutes off the back of their performance against Bodo? No. Did they earn their minutes off the back of their performance against Doncaster Rovers? No. So why in hell would we throw them, in Newcastle away and expect them to go and win us a game?
You won't. You could, because look, I come from a time, it's like you, Dave, but a bit early from you, where, well, he had a squad of 16 or 17, did you, a 58-game season? And players played injured, by the way. They didn't just roll around on the floor. They got tackled. They got back up. Even if the leg was gushing blood, got back up, tapered it up. I've seen players with massive cuts on here, Dave, taping it around. Right, let me back on the pitch. Do you know, players are too pampered now. Oh, we've got to give him minutes. We've got to give him a rest. We've got to do that. And you're right. We play Porro all the time. Do you know, no disrespect to goalkeepers. They're not the most. Goalkeepers don't have the most. They have the most easiest job in a way. Do you know?
On that,
in football.
on that though, I think Thomas Frank came out after the game and said Vicario was injured, but he'll be back for the Chelsea game. Personally,
That's
I don't
bullshit.
buy it. I think that's just him
I don't buy it.
making up something, to excuse because Kinski came under fire last night in last night's game. But, it's just like, I'm not being funny, but Brandon Austin showed more in his minutes last year than what Anthony Kinski did. And it goes back to, again, like you look at Mikey Moore. People have their problems with Mikey Moore. He done more last year than what Tellen Udeberg did, but yet he's been shipped out and farmed out on loan. While these guys are still sitting there given an opportunity to produce nothing. Kinski last year, because we brought him, he's now been given opportunities over someone like Brandon Austin. We at Tottenham, we don't look into what they do on the football pitch. We look into the price that we've paid for them. And that's why some of these guys are going to continue to get minutes, even though they're not good enough, rather than guys that have been around the club for a long time, come through the academy, and have shown more with their opportunities than some of the guys we brought in. And at the end of the day, Thomas Frank is also responsible for that. I'm not being funny. All you had to do was look at the bite-sized run that Austin had last year compared to Kinski, and you would know Kinski's shot stopping has been called into question time and time again last year. There was also reports just off the back of the last international break that came out that, people behind the scenes at Tottenham were very concerned with Kinski's regression. So then why pick him last night over Brandon Austin?
I said that. I said that on Monday or Tuesday evening. Why pick a player that's regressing? He's not going to build the defense full of confidence. And that was proven last night. As I said, you look at Danso, no communication between him and Kinski at all. Couldn't hear you, he says. I couldn't hear you. That's Vicario in goal. Danso's got to look around. Right, I know what my goalkeeper's doing. I don't even have to look around. I know what he's doing. I think they missed Mickey van der Ven last night. I think they really did. They missed his leadership in that defense. Though Palhinha did all right, to be fair. He was better at a lot of them. To be honest, he was the one that at least showed a little bit of credit. But Dave, let's look at the front three. Look, very quickly, we've got an injury list here. These are the players that are at the moment: Gray, Davis, Romero, Radu, Taki. That's most of our defence out. Your doggy. That's our defence completely out. Biss, Madders, Kulu, Solanke, Odegaard. I said it to you in the background. Do fans owe Ange Postecoglou an apology? I think they do, because we're having the same injury crisis as we did last year, as we did the year before, Dave. This is the third year running we're having this injury crisis. What is it? Just bad luck? Is it bad? Is it bad training methods? What is going wrong at Tottenham Hotspur with these injuries?
Look, quite frankly, when it comes to giving Ange Postecoglou an apology, I couldn't give a fuck, to be honest with you. He's not here. He's not at the club anymore. I deal with what we've got in front of us, right? But at the end of the day, I think anyone that blamed Ange Postecoglou for the injuries last season were just blaming him because they hated the guy and wanted him out that much. There was no balance. There was no reasoning behind it, because like I tried to point out last season, we act like this is a this season problem. Go to one of the seasons we had under Conte for about a good month or so, and I went and checked this, by the way, so that's why I brought it up. He had youngsters on the bench. He didn't have any game changers and stuff like that, because he also suffered a lot of injuries, and I think it was a case last year. People hated the guy that much. They wanted to make everything his problem. Well, who are they blaming for the injuries this year? Everyone's using that as an excuse. Last year, people go, well, you got injuries. You still got to get on with it. You still got to win games. The squad's still better than what it's looking and stuff like that. So why doesn't the same logic apply this year then? I'm just questioning who we're gonna blame for the injuries this year. I think the fact that Spurs brought in someone 2 weeks ago, to oversee the whole medical department, sports science, and everything else, probably alludes to that the manager ain't the problem here. The style of play was never the problem here, by the way, because people said Andrew's style was too aggressive. That's why we're picking up all the injuries. Well, Thomas Frank sits off a lot of teams. We're still picking up injuries, so that proved to be a load of nonsense. At the end of the day, it's I'll be honest, my whole lifetime as a Tottenham fan, it feels like we've always had like 8-9 injuries, no matter what. Like even years gone by, Darren Anderton was always out injured and players like that. It's nothing new. But I just think last year it got into the realms of silliness that people hated the guy so much and wanted him gone. They started blaming him for absolutely everything, even things that were beyond his circumstances. And they're looking very silly now, because they're the same people that are justified last night going, we've got a load of injuries. Okay. You didn't have that. You didn't have that fucking leeway last year. In fact, you blamed the manager last year, so you're looking very silly this year.
Yeah. Look, if we beat Chelsea on Saturday, which I think we can do, Dave, I think Chelsea not in the greatest form at the moment. I think they're very beatable. only just beat a Wolves team last night, by the way, 4-3, in their win. All this goes away, doesn't it? All this goes away, and we're back happy, and we're behind Frank and Newcastle. Yeah, then we'll look at Newcastle. Okay, it's a blip. What we want, we move on. We've got January coming up now, Dave. Does January become important? Because I think it does. I think it becomes important for two reasons. A, it becomes important that we can probably get one or two players in the fixed phase we missed in the summer. And secondly, it gets a chance to get rid of some of these deadwood players. If you're a Paratici, who's on your to-go list? We know Johnson's on there. We know Richarlison's on there. Who else is on your to-go list?
To be honest with you, what we bring in is sort of what will dictate who we let out. That's the reality of it. Like, obviously, we need a striker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, many people weren't of that opinion a few years ago, but they are now. We need a left winger. We need another cam, because I'm not being funny. What we brought in is not working. You also need another fullback within this squad. You're looking at last night, and judging by Kinski's running the side he had last year, we also need a better number two. And you probably would like an extra centre midfielder in there as well, with Basuma going. But look, who's to go? I mean, Richarlison has to go. Johnson has to go. Been saying that for years. I think Tel should be sold. I think Udebur should be put out on loan. That's where I'm at with it, Dermo. I think Kinski is another one
agree.
that could probably go out on loan.
Yeah, I think Richie needs to go. I think Johnson should go. Look, I'm back Johnson for 2 years, Dave. I come onto your show, right? And you criticize. No, all joking. I know it was all joking, but I stood there, Dave, and I argued with you. Johnson's got talent. Johnson's got talent. He will make it. He will get there. And what really annoys me about Brennan Johnson is he hasn't put the work in, Dave. He hasn't put the effort into to improve. He has got talent. But as a winger, you need talent. You need to beat your man and put a cross in. It's simple. It's a 4-year-old can do it, Dave. Jesus Christ, I mean, you and me can do it. I'm overweight. I'm nearly 50. Heart attack, back fucking a bit overweight. But at least I would run down that wing and try to put a cross in. You'd be the same. So I think Brennan Johnson has to go. I agree. I think Richarlison has to go. Odegaard, yeah, probably right out on loan. I think we do need a fullback. Tequila made that very clear in the summer when we were talking about it. We need a fullback. I thought Jed Spence was poor last night as well, by the way. I thought
Jed Spence was brilliant last night.
I didn't. I thought he was very much. I didn't think he was good last night. Maybe second half, but first half he wasn't. Dave.
I thought Jed Spence was one of the best players on the pitch last night. If you look at what he contributed going down forward, people need to understand, he was in charge of doing the fullback duties and the winger duties last night. He got no help over that side whatsoever. He ran that side on his own. And if you go back and look at the game, a lot of our best moves and our best chances were down that left-hand side. It was the most consistent side. Yeah. And I'm not being funny, but he's getting on the ball. He's skinning two players deep in his own half, up in the other end. Brennan Johnson can't even get on the ball and skin one player. He can't even outpace Dan Burn, who's one of the slowest players in the league. So when I look at that side by side, and Johnson's only given half the duties of Spence, Spence had a much better game than someone like Brennan Johnson. I thought Spence was one of the better players on the pitch last night.
Well, look, as I said, I watched the highlights again, but on the first view of it, Dave, that was my sort of, I'm writing a sort of script for tonight, and I actually put down for Spence, not a great Spence, had some erratic moments, did not look after the ball well, but maybe going forward, you're right, Dave, but I think if you look at the first half performance, I thought, especially in that first 15, 20 minute spell when Newcastle were all over us before they scored the first goal, I didn't think he played well, but that's sort of my opinion. Everyone sees the game differently. I thought when players came on, I thought Kudus do well. And that brings me up to Joe Linton and the referee. There was a question here. Where was it? Where did I star it? Oh, there. Did star it. Still don't know how Joe Linton didn't get an effing red card. Dirty little. Dave, I watched your Twitter reacts this morning or this afternoon. I was sitting down putting my play ratings together and I had it on the other monitor. Giggling away because I found you and Jack very funny. I thought it was a great Twitter react, by the way. Some people's comments were really funny. But when you showed the one with Joe Linton and Kudos, I mean, your comment of the picture they showed, they should have left that to Saturday night. I mean, I don't know who picked that picture, but by Jesus, they got the picture in the wrong position. But wasn't that a red card, Dave? I mean, surely the referee who can see that, saying, right, he hasn't got the ball, he's got the man, he hasn't got the ball, that's a red card. How bad was that referee last night? I'm not using him as an excuse, Dave, but I'm just saying. And then you had the ball when Kolo was running down the pitch. He skipped a few players, put the ball ahead of it, hit the referee's back of his heel, and then another lost opportunity for Tottenham to get forward and get back into the game. How bad was that ref last night? And should the FA or the Premier League or the EFL be looking at his performance last night and saying to him, that was not good enough?
Look, the referee, I felt like he gave them all the 50-50 decisions, to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Obviously, he stopped Colin Moani, late in the second half as well, sort of speaks to the 12th man literally there, right? But for me, I mean, that challenge on Kudus, right? Let's get this straight, by the way. You go back to Chelsea a couple of seasons ago. Yeah. Romero went to clear the ball, kicked the ball away, and followed through on the contact because the guy was standing right in front of him. That was deemed a penalty and a straight red card, yeah?
Yeah.
But last night, John Linton literally wrapped 2 legs around Mo Kudus, straddled his behind. That's the tackle when you pause it. There's 2 legs around him and he's sitting on his behind, and he's completely took the player out. And he's reckless, right? Not only that, so that's a yellow card, if not a straight red in itself. Not only that, then he gets up, he goes after Mo Kudus, then he goes after 2 or 3 other Spurs players, which means he's fully out of control. So that should be a second yellow, and that should be him gone. The fact that him and Mo Kudus got the same punishment, yet Mo Kudus was the one taken out, just defies absolute logic when it comes to refereeing decisions.
It does, David. I couldn't believe when I was seeing it last night. I'm thinking, and I thought he started that fight to take away from the tackle, by the way, just to confuse the referee. Right, I'm going to start a little ruckus here, so the referee's attention's gone from the tackle to this ruckus now. I really do believe that. Look, we could go on about the Newcastle, Dave. I rather leave that game in the bin now because if more we go on to it, the more we're going to get angry. So we're going to move on. We will get back to that and the Chelsea game. Now, look, our sort of second football love is Celtic. We're both Irish. And when you're Irish, you either support Celtic or Rangers because your parents say, this is the team you're following in Scotland. And luckily, we both support the green side of Glasgow, the Celtic, the boys from Celtic Park. I've not been impressed with Brendan Rodgers while he's been there, Dave, to be fair. I've rarely watched Celtic now while he's been in charge. When Ange left, I refused to watch Celtic after that. I said, his football is boring. So I was doing the show Monday evening, came off. I wasn't even off 10 minutes. And then my phone started hopping with people sending me information. Rodgers has gone. Rodgers has resigned. Martin O'Neill's taken over. And I'm getting all this information and I'm sitting there dumbstruck thinking, Jesus, he's done it to us again like he did a few years ago before Ange got the gig. And then the bombshells of all bombshells dropped. Dermot Desmond's, I don't know what you would call it, character assassination, I think. I have got it here. I did bring it up, so I want to bring it up tonight. Where is it? It's here. And there was something in it at the end, Dave, right? It was the last comment at the end of sorry, I'll get to you in a minute, Gary. Don't wait, I will get to you. It was the last bit here, Dave, where he says, a shared desire for success. What has failed recently was not due to our structure or model, but to one individual's desire for self-presentation at the expense of others. Now, we all know football managers can be a bit selfish, Dave. We all know they can be a bit prima donnas, and it's all about them. But if you look at the likes of Mourinho, Conte at Tottenham, and then Brendan Rodgers at Tottenham, has Dermot Desmond got a point about Rodgers being a little bit of self-presentation and expense of others? Considering that other clubs he goes to, he does seem to leave a bit of a toxic environment. And let's not forget, he was touted for the Tottenham job not so long ago too. So have we dodged the bullet not coming to our club?
Look, I think Dermot Desmond is right in what he's done, to be fair. If the guy hasn't wanted to negotiate a contract and he's spinning lies in the press, well then fair enough. I think he's right in what he's done there, to be honest with you. Look, I do think Brendan Rodgers is a good manager. He done well with Liverpool. He done well with Leicester City, and he done very well with Swansea when he brought them up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's been a very, very good manager. He's done very well with Celtic.
Mm.
I think, to be honest with you, he sort of only uses Celtic when he's out of work. And, I think he knows there'll be a Premier League job, coming for him soon. And that's why he's probably forced his way out of the football club.
Yeah. Would you be one for thinking Ange needs to go back home to Celtic? Would you be happy? Look, I think Ange needs to go back home. I think he needs to go back home to Celtic. I think he needs to go to somewhere where he's loved, where he's wanted, where he can play his brand of football, where it's going to suit the league, and he's not going to get them bastard like he has done in the English league, in the English press, and by by people either at Forest or wherever. I think he proved right at Tottenham. He won his trophy in his second season. Like it or lump it, he is the only third manager in our history to do that, Dave. So he does go down in folklore as one of our greatest managers by winning that European trophy. He was very successful at Celtic too. Do you think he needs to go back home? Or do you think there's another job in the Premier League that might take a punt on Ange Postecoglou?
Look, I think it's natural that many Celtic fans will want Ange back. And look, they absolutely love the job that he done there. They love the football that he produced and stuff like that. And look, I mean, it's open for it. But if you're Postecoglou, do you want to go back there? I'm not so sure. I think Postecoglou has his eyes on bigger clubs now.
Do you think so? Where do you think it might end up next, actually, Dave, to be fair? We're talking about him, right, as a manager, right, and how he's done in the Premier League. Where do you think it might end up? Where do you think might suit him?
Postecoglou, I don't really care, to be honest with you, Darmo.
No, I don't really care, but I'm talking in the football. I know, but I'm asking in the sort of football sort of tense. If you look at some managers suit certain leagues, right? So you've got Jose Mourinho. He could fit into any league and win you something. Conte probably suits Italian football more than English football, though he was successful here with the right backing at Chelsea. So if you're looking at Ange, successful everywhere he went, he was successful at Tottenham. If you look at Wolves, might looking for a new manager, like clubs like that. Do you think he's a busted flush in the Premier League? I think that's the question I was going to ask you. And in a general football sense.
I think, the Forest job had to go right for him, I think. I think he had to sort of earn a lot of respect back with the Forest job, and he failed to do so. And I think, sort of that maybe signals his time has come to an end in the Premier League.
Yeah, I agree. Look, we are looking for a new manager at Celtic. Who would you like to see take the job if you had a sort of punt in it?
Well, Martin O'Neill's been a good interim appointment. Yeah. I like the fact that he's got the job back there.
Were you shocked at that? Were you surprised that he got that interim job?
No, I can understand it. Martin O'Neill's a safe pair of hands. He knows exactly what he's doing. And he's not a guy that, is going to want to take the job on full time with his age and stuff like that either. So I think Dermot Desmond has done the right thing, sort of buying time until he finds the right guy. I think basically what they're after is a younger sort of manager that's ready to commit for a few years.
So Kieran McKenna, Gary Baxter saying here, you're talking Celtic brings me to who could be the next Spurs manager. I see Kieran McKenna and Robbie Keane.
I'd love to see Robbie Keane get the job. He's done a good job out in Hungary, and he's done a really good job out in Israel when he was there as well.
Yeah. Can I say it took balls for him to do that, by the way, Dave, to take that job in Israel? It took absolute balls. And that shows what sort of... Wasn't he the one that got Edgar Davids up the Tottenham dressing room wall, wasn't it? Or something like that. I remember you telling me the story about that. He clumped him one, didn't he? Or something in the dressing room, or because he wouldn't show respect or something like that. Was it along them lines?
Say that again?
Do you remember Robbie Keane when did he hit Edgar Davids? Do you remember when he had him up in the dressing room? The Dutch player, the one that wore the glasses.
Oh, Edgar Davids. Oh,
Yeah,
when he
Edgar
punched him,
Davids.
they had an altercation on the training pitch and that.
Yeah.
What about it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's got balls, hasn't he? He's got.
Oh, yeah. Look, Robbie Keane has always had balls. He'll always say what he's feeling. He's never sugarcoated that, for sure.
Yeah. So Robbie Keane, I think he'll able to go to Celtic and dominate. Their next position could be N17. Kieran McKenna, future Tottenham manager, Dave. What do you reckon?
Kieran McKenna, look, he came through the academy, didn't he? So
yeah, he did.
He played for the Tottenham academy, so there's ties there. But I think he'd have to show a lot more in the game first before he's ever touted for the job.
I think so. We've got also Gary said, I think Ange takes a walk for a park and wise, then retires. Celtic makes so much sense, then retire. I reckon so too. Craig Bellenby to Celtic. That's another good shout as well, actually, by the way. Jimmy Hotspur saying Brendan Rodgers to Wolves. That's a shout if the Wolves do sack their manager. Big up to Rayman as well. Hey ho, good afternoon, lads and lasses. Big up to you. Jimmy Hotspur saying Rodgers is not a nice guy. He was told this by someone who knows him at Leicester really well. Big up to Gary. I'm straight up going to say it. Frank's appointment is purely to keep us in top 8. It's not a gamble shot for glory anywhere, so whatever. Win 2, lose 1. Win 2, draw 1, lose 1, repeat. Look at the shite we're doing at the moment. Dave, I said it to you last week about Thomas Frank. Is he a safe pair of hands? And also, with him being probably Daniel Levy's last appointment, or Vinay's probably first appointment, and Daniel Levy's last appointment as Tottenham manager, I've been told he's under an awful lot of pressure. Only 1 or 2 people are keeping him in the job at the moment. But if you look at the last 15 games or 16 games, Dave, only 3 defeats out of the last 16 in all competitions. Yeah. Yes, you could argue about the opposition we're playing, but there is some good results in there, Dave, as well. Away to Leeds, away to Man City. I do agree with you about the Monaco game. That was absolutely dreadful, and a lot of people are saying that was a good draw. Bad performance, but a good point. We are unbeaten in the Champions League as well, Dave. 15th place, only a point off or 2 points off top 8. So, where are you with Thomas Frank? Look, we both have his backing, but is it more a short lease backing where if this continues, then questions will have to be asked about his appointment?
Look, when it comes to Frank, it's an interesting one because I think what you've got to it's hard to know whether the Lewis family played any part in his appointment and how much they're going to stick by this guy if things do go wrong. That'll be very interesting to see because, at the end of the day, we're led to believe that Levy hired this guy. He's the one that brought in the coaching staff. And if he was the one that made that decision, then how much of a say did the Lewis family have in it? And if he's not their guy and they don't believe in him, then it's very hard for them to stick through a testing period. And look, of course, there's been some good things under Thomas Frank this year. And look, one thing I've widely praised him for, we are a bit lackluster going forward at the best of times. And I think he has circumvented a way around that, by bringing in the set pieces, something that Ange didn't do. And it has helped him along the way. There's no doubt about that. And credit to him, he's made us defensively more solid as well. But if you look at the way we've returned off the international break, once the games have got a lot tougher, lost to Aston Villa, draw away to Monaco. We beat Everton at the weekend, good result, but we lost again last night. So realistically, you look at the last 4 games, they're not great, Darmo. And the performances haven't been great either.
No.
And then off the back of that, we've got Chelsea,
game, though,
we've got Man United coming up, we've got Arsenal coming up, we've got Newcastle away again coming up, we've got Liverpool coming up. The games are getting tougher. They're not getting easier.
No, so how long do you give him, Dave? How long do you give him, before you start asking questions? Because
look, it's a difficult one, Darmo.
Because
results sort of justify time, right? You get the results, it justifies your time. We're heading into a period now where, look, under Postecoglou, we got smacked up every week. It was a dreadful watch. We've barely been able to compete. With this period coming up, I just want to go into these games and compete. If we can compete, I can accept that, areas that we've lacked in terms of not buying in the striker, not buying in the left winger and stuff, are going to come back to bite us. I can get with that. But for me, it's about being competitive. And I think it comes down to you as an individual. Who do you make the bigger problem? Do you make Thomas Frank the bigger problem, or do you make Tottenham neglecting certain areas in the transfer market the bigger problem? I think that's where people will, approach that point and decide for themselves, to be honest with you. For me, I think it's very hard to put everything on Thomas Frank in terms of like not bringing in that striker, not bringing in that left winger and stuff. But I think many people forget, we've added Paulinho, we've added Kudus, we've added Xavi Simons. He's had a better squad and better players at his disposal than maybe other managers have had in seasons gone by and stuff like that. So it's a tough one. And plus, for someone like me, I question Frank's ability to be able to go far in the domestic cup. I question Frank's ability to be able to manage the domestic campaign alongside a European campaign and stuff like that. But I'm going to stay true to what I've always said.
Yeah,
I think what we don't do in the transfer window is a bigger problem. I've always maintained we don't hire bad managers at Tottenham. In fact, I think we've always hired good managers. The problem is what we don't do in the transfer market lets them down.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you're right in that. We don't hire bad managers, but again and again, the transfer market's let us down. Now, Paratici's back in the hot seat now again, Dave. Probably that's a good thing for Tottenham. I don't trust the Nate Lewis family. I don't trust they're going to back Frank as like to say they are. And 100 million, everyone was tripping over themselves. Oh, 100 million's been pumped into the club. See, we're pumping now. They say they're going to be more. There's going to be more. Well, I don't trust them. Actions act louder than words for me. Until I see them pumping money into the club and buying 3 or 4 players over 60 million quid, then I might believe it. But I think Tequila's right. He says it here. He'd be very surprised. It's just his prediction, he said, but he'd be surprised if Frank won't be manager of Spurs in 24 months. If we get to January, Dave, we're out of Europe and we've only got the FA Cup, and we say we're in the European places in the league, how louder would the shouts call from the fans from Thomas Frank if the football is still boring for them to make a change? And as a fan base, look, I've always said it, Dave, we don't have I think we're too, as of some of our fan bases, some of the fan base are too, they want everything. And I think sometimes we can be a little bit too knee-jerk. Oh, get this manager out, get this manager out. The grass is always greener on the other side. Where are you on it? I mean, we're a very sort of, this is October, this is coming into November. We've got North London Derby coming up. We've got Chelsea, we've got Manchester United, as you say, we've got big games coming up. If we get to the end of November and we haven't won any of them big games, Dave, and we get to the point where we're coming up to January, what do you do? Where do you go as an ownership? Where do you go as the Lewis family? What do they do? Because if it's not improving on the pitch, the fans are restless. They want to change. The calls for Frank out, which I think is ridiculous at the moment.
It's a bit premature, yeah.
It's a little bit premature. But if you're looking forward to December, January, Dave, do the Lewis family have a decision to make? Hang on a minute. Are we going to back this man? Is this the man we're going to give our money to? Do you think that's when questions might be asked? Do you know what I'm getting at? If we don't have a great November and December, and come January, we're out of Europe, we're not going to qualify. All right. Then we've got the FA Cup. That's our only trophy we can win. If we get knocked out of that, no trophies, but we're in and around the top 8 for the European places. And you're the Lewis family. You're Paratici. Do you put your money behind Frank, or do you think, right, we need to make a change? This is all hypothetical.
I'm sort of the opinion, Dharma. You can bring in another manager in here. We're still going to suffer the same problems going forward.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, no. So for me, I think the only answer at this one is by putting more money on the problem. Like at the end of the day, I've always said we're always rotating managers. We're always blaming the manager for absolutely everything. And where's it got us? Same problems are still arising. So for me, I think we're at the point, and I've always tried to say this. You look at Guardiola, he's been at City for a long time. Yeah, they have money, but he's constantly in the dugout and they're constantly picking up trophies. Jurgen Klopp, when he was at Liverpool, was there a long time, picking up trophies, brought them to the promised land. You look at Arteta, he's getting them in and around the trophies, and if we want to get back there, you go back to how long we had Poch here. We allowed him to build it. You know, we added on it, you know, nearly every window, bar the last couple, to be fair. But, you know, up until that, we added on it nearly every single window. And it's something we need to do. We somehow we've been sucked into doing the Chelsea model of things, but without actually having the financial backing or giving the players to the manager to really make it work. At some point, we've got to be the smarter guys in the room. If we don't have that money that they can spend in one transfer window, then you've got to let a guy build it. But at the same time, you've got to be picking up results to be able to justify that time.
And managers don't get times now, do they? Especially at Tottenham, Dave. A manager would last no less than 18 months in the job. Some managers last less than that. So, look, I'm talking it from a fan's perspective, like you and me we don't go to every home game, right? We do our stuff on YouTube and we go to 1 or 2 games a year. You got the likes of Rayman, who's a season ticket holder, goes to every game. And maybe they have a better judge of it, Dave, than we do. Because we watch a lot of games on telly. And I said, we get to our 1 or 2 games a year. I'm going to Brentford in December and then Leeds in May. And I've always said it, when you watch Tottenham live, you get a totally different perspective of watching Tottenham than you do on the telly. Because you can see the movements off the pitch. You can see a lot more, Dave. Do you know what I mean? Tactically, you can see a lot more. Thomas Frank, for me, I said at the beginning of the season, I was one that said it, that he's going to come in, he's going to change it up. You look what he's done at Brentford. He was changing formations. He hasn't done that at Tottenham for whatever reason. I think the reason why he hasn't done it, because of the squad he's got, Dave. I think he hasn't got the players to do it, personally. And also he's got an injury list as long as his arm. We know there's a leadership change at Tottenham as well. We know Levy's gone out. Do you think if this Levy was still in charge, you would get all the Levy out people, wouldn't you? You would get people saying this is all Levy's fault. Are Tottenham fans finding it hard at the minute who to blame, who to turn to, who to turn their frustrations to? Because Levy isn't there, so you can't blame him. You got some people blaming the manager, but not really a lot of people looking to the Lewis family and saying to them, come on, you've been here also for 24 years or 25 years. It's time to put up and shut up. Why has all this gone dead, Dave, for me? Because I feel it's very much, I find, this is my own opinion, that Levy's gone, oh, the Lewis family here, it's new. We need to give them time. We need to give them a 2 summer. I'm sorry, they were here as long as Levy was here. Just because there's new people doesn't mean it's the same. It's the same company behind it. It's still the same company behind it. So why are we not continuing with this narrative of, right, we want change at Tottenham, but they seem happy with what we've got? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it wrongly. Maybe I'm one in a few that think, hang on a minute, I'm not having my walls put over the wool boom my eyes by this lot, because they've done it for 24 years. So why is this narrative it's okay to give them time now, Dave, just because Levy's gone? And who Tottenham fans going to blame? Because they were blaming Levy, but now they're blaming Thomas Frank. But how about blaming the people that run the football club, that own the football club, about putting money in the transfer market and buy players?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
No, look, I fully understand where you're coming from on that one, right? And I think many people are just so happy that Levy's gone, you know, that they were just enjoying the moment. But I do think, you know, the Lewis family are under scrutiny personally. I think, look, my personal opinion, when it comes to January, it is a notoriously difficult market to operate in, and you don't fix all your problems in that market, you know. So for me, if we don't have a great January, it's not that I'm going to give them a free pass, because I do think they need to act in January now based off what we're seeing. But for me, it's all about the summer transfer window. You know, when you've got 3-4 months to operate, you can go and fix a lot of your problems. How gung-ho are we going to go after them problems? Also, I would say, though, in fairness to them, though, Darmo, you know, based off the signings that we got in here deadline day, based off, you know, the stuff that the communication they're putting out there through Vinay, based off them putting that 100 million into the club and stuff like that, it does look like, you know, that they do want to take this forward. And I think many fans are sort of going, okay, that's refreshing to hear compared to what we've heard in years gone by.
No, that's fair.
So let's see how well they do. But I think if we have a poor summer, I think many people will go, okay, well, you're also a massive part of the problem. Out you go. Because I do agree with you. For me, I don't give them a free pass. They kept Daniel Levy in that position for so long. They were happy with the way he was operating the club. They could have changed that at any minute and started putting money in it if they wanted to. They were happy to let Daniel Levy be the fall guy just as much. So I don't give them a free pass. But so far, based off what they've shown when it's been in their control, they've shown the right intent. But like I said, words are one thing. Let's see if they back it up in the transfer window.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. I get it. Like I think somebody put it in here. Big up to Rayman. He said Rayman put it. He said partly because I got a type of change I wanted in the summer. That's fair enough. We approached the transfer market differently. I still want us to get players earlier, but Paulinia, Savvy, and Colo, all the right profile. I get that. One on loan, by the way, at the end of the season on the deadline day, and we were going after Lookman, but I don't think you were too impressed with Lookman, were you, Dave? For what I've heard in you in another one of your shows the other day, you weren't really sort of enamored with him. If it comes up available in January, would you be looking at him, Dave? A bit like him, a little bit. If they got Lookman and Vadovic in January, would that sort of appease you? It might appease me to the summer, Dave. To be fair, would there be two players you'd like to see come in? I know you can get Vadovic for 20 million. He's out of contract, so 20 million is nothing these days. Get Lookman on loan with a 6 months with a obligation to buy.
Look, I'm not sold on Lookman. Personally, I'm not sold on him, but there is a large clamour within the fan base. And look, if he comes in and he proves me wrong, I'll be the first one to hold my hands up and go, do you know what? I was wrong on that one. This guy has been the right signing and stuff like that. Vlahovic is one that I've always sort of been interested to explore. Yeah, I don't think things have worked well at him, for Juventus. But, sometimes players can go to clubs and it doesn't work out when they move on. They need to get that fresh environment. All of a sudden they kick on. And I think Vlahovic is one of them players, in my opinion. So I wouldn't mind, bringing him in here and having a look at him. I think there's a deal to be done for sure. The reason why I think the club would be hesitant for someone like Lookman, and the reason why they could have done it in the summer and they didn't, is because he's going to be gone for 2 or 3 months of the season because of AFCON and stuff like that. And, that's the sort of period where you would be relying on a player like that the most, right?
Yeah. I look, I quite like Lookman. I'd like to get Vadovic for 20 million, by the way. That's a no-brainer. That is a no-brainer. Get him in, get him done job. That's a striker role sorted. I think Paratici has a lot to do this January, and I think they're planning it now. Now, somebody put in the chat, and I forgot all about it until they put it in chat and remembered. Thomas Frank did go out the transfer market in the summer.
Yeah.
Do you feel that's Thomas Frank is now with Levy gone sort of thing? Maybe managers at Tottenham have a bit more freedom to say how they really feel. Because maybe when Levy was there, maybe managers didn't have the freedom to speak how they truly feel, apart from Conte, which got the sack. But do you think Thomas Frank has a bit more freedom now to say, call out, no, the transfer window wasn't good. We should have done better. What we're talking about it, we're looking at it, and we're going to improve it. Do you think that's a good thing? Because I think that's healthy. I think that's a healthy environment to have.
Explain that a bit more, Dermo.
Well, look, in his press, right, when Levy was in charge, managers were very much, you can say this, but you can't say that. You can't criticize anyone. You can't. Conte criticized the way the club was run. He had that almighty outburst, and he got sacked for it. Levy's sacked now, and Thomas Frank came out the other day in his press conference, said the transfer window could have been better. It wasn't good enough. We need better players. And he didn't sort of went on from that. But I felt there was a bit of freedom that he could express how he really feels. Where under Levy, he couldn't express how he really feels. Do you think that's a good thing, Dave, to have that sort of freedom to managers now express, well, this is how I feel. We're looking at it, and we're going to address it for January. Do you think that's a good thing, having honest conversations, probably a bit in the open, so Tottenham fans know, okay, the manager wasn't happy.
Yeah, well, I think it'll buy him. I think it'll buy him more time because, look, previously, And I'm okay with the transfer window. Conte, I'm okay with the transfer window. But when
Yeah.
results don't start working right, they've sort of pointed back to the transfer windows and stuff like that. But look, at the end of the day, realistically, every Spurs fans knew the transfer windows weren't good enough.
Yeah.
But I suppose when you say you're okay with it and then you pivot back to it when things go wrong, you lose a lot of buy-in and belief from fans and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I always sort of believe honesty is the best policy. And I think Frank, to be fair to him, has been honest about it. I think many Spurs fans would agree that we were left short in the transfer window and stuff like that. So, but it's also how you deliver your message as well.
Yeah,
Thomas Frank
exactly.
delivers it in a sort of calm manner and explains more around it and stuff. Whereas other managers has used it, when they've sort of gone on rants and stuff like that. So I also think it's how you deliver it as well, though, Dermo.
I think it was healthy. I think it's healthy to have these discussions, Dave. I do. I think it's healthy. And you look at the fans forum as well. There need to be more of them, by the way. Because I watched that fan forum and I was really impressed with the way Tottenham came out. And I know Rhino didn't like it for some reason. And he even said he wants to leave me back at the club, which totally baffles me. But hey, that's big old Rhino. We all love him dearly. Look, look, Dave, to end off this podcast, because I know we're both busy today and we've got a lot to do with Chelsea coming up on Saturday. What's your hope, Dave, for Paratici in the summer? What's your in the window, especially January and summer? What's your hope for Paratici? Do you think he's going to bring that sort of calmness back to the Tottenham the scouting department, everything like that? And also with Lang there, are we dissing Lang too badly? Because maybe he's to Paratici Yang, he's his yin. Maybe they do work well together. Do you think January's going to go one way or the other? Look, I'm with you. I think Lang should be out of the club. I think it's going to be another Steve Hitchen. But does Paratici see him a bit differently than Hitchen?
I don't think so. I think it's just a restructure. I think at some point, Frank, it will be announced that Johan Lang will be leaving the football club. Johan Lang was in a similar situation when once he came into Aston Villa, released a few months down the line. We had the same when Paratici came in. Steve Hitchen was put in a similar role, gone a little while later. Same with Greta Steinson and people like that. At the end of the day, Johan Lang came in, tried to put his own authority on the club, failed to do so. That's why we brought back someone like Paratici. So for me, I think at some point, Johan Lang will probably leave this football club, to be honest with you, Darmo, especially if he has his own ambitions of being a director of football and stuff like that. I think he will end up leaving. So for me, I don't really buy into that. I've seen this structure many times before with the latter leaving sort of halfway through the season.
I think so, but well, look, we're going to leave it there. There's a lot going on at our beautiful football club. Just a little bit on Ireland, Dave. The Irish girls did well the other night, qualified for Group A. At least the girls in green could do better than the boys in green, which says a lot, by the way. Look, international managers, right? It's a quite of a good job to get. If you had a pick of any manager that's free right now to come and manage the Irish team, who would you pick?
Look, again, I would love to see Robbie Keane get the job, but I'm not sure it's the right time for him personally. I think he wants to make a go at club management. I'd love to see Roy Keane go back in there. I'd love to see a Damien Duff go in there. I'd love to see a John O'Shea maybe get the job. Someone that's been there, done it, won on the biggest stage for Ireland and stuff, given the opportunity. I think the problem we've had in the last few years is we brought in the guy from the League of Ireland, never good enough. You got a lot of players that just didn't buy into what he was trying to do, and he was technically outdone by every manager that he came up against. And the same with this guy who was a glorified dentist, found himself as a part of the Iceland team, got a job in Jamaica off the back of it, and we go and hire him. And to be honest, again, you don't really see what he's trying to do with the team or anything like that. I think he's sort of, again, just taking the job for the money, and he'll put the rest into his dentist surgery, so that he ensures his retirement, when he reaches that age. But for me, I want a player that's been in and around the setup and that has delivered on the biggest stages, Dermo.
Yeah.
And I think they are out there. Like, you've got a lot of these ex-players that want to help Irish football right now, but for some reason, the FAI are keeping them out of it.
Yeah. Look, Irish soccer's in a great place, Dave. it really is in a great place at the moment.
Domestic
And long
league
may
is
it
in a
be.
good place. Well,
Yeah,
attendance-wise, it's in a good place. Like, the infrastructure is still piss poor.
yeah, I agree. But um, sorry, so I'm just trying to sort out something in the chat as well. Look, for me, yeah, it does. But I think if you look at the domestic league, I think qualifying teams for proper European stages, the league stages, has been good, Dave. Again, the league season was a good season, actually. I didn't watch all of it, but what I did see, there were some good football games, soccer games that we played. Um, just to explain to people, we run our league in a slightly different way over here, don't we? We start in the summer. Well, we start sort of like early spring, don't we? And we finish in the winter. Do you think, why did they do that? Was it to take away from the Premier League sort of thing, so it never clashed with
No,
the Premier League?
it was never that in the first place. It was the same with a lot of the Sunday leagues as well that
Yeah,
switched over from the winter. Is because a lot of the pitches and stadiums, they don't have the underground heating, they don't have
no,
the
that's true.
drainage systems and stuff like that. So what was happening with the winter is a lot of the games were being postponed, called off because all the pitches were unplayable. So that's why
Mm,
everything over here is moving to a summer league so that you can get the consistency in fixtures rather
yeah,
than having games called off here, there, and everywhere, and then end
yeah,
up being cosmic chaos where you have to get so many games done by a certain period.
yeah. But yeah, that's true. But Dave, look, thanks a lot, man. I really enjoyed this episode number 5 of Irish Lads Talk Spurs. I am going to put this all into a playlist. So if you want to watch it in all its entirety, all 5 episodes, they will be going up on Spotify in the next couple of weeks. So if you're when Dave's at the gym, or maybe Jack's out for his run, or maybe I'm walking around Tesco's, I'm a bit bored. I know what, I'm going to stick a little bit of Dave, Dermo, and Dave on. Hear what they have to say. Yes. Now look, I know there was some disruption in the chat. Please be respectful for one another. There's no need to be calling people a clown or whatever. Just because Tequila has a different view to everyone else doesn't make him less of a Spurs fan than anyone else. He suffered a lot of abuse last year from some of the Leave the In people, targeted him, abusing about his ill health as well, and it wasn't on. I got some abuse. Even Dave got abused by certain people. We're all Spurs fans at the end of the day. We all should be there for one another. We all should be there in the hard times to enjoy the good times. And if you can't enjoy yourself in the chat, and if you can't behave and you can't respect other people's opinion, then you will be timed out, and then you will be banned. Simple as that. Look, me and Dave don't agree on anything, but you don't see me and Dave arguing and boiling. We do behind the scenes, but on screen we're professional. We're professional and do a stream behind the scenes for squaring. No, we're not. Not really. Dave, look, do you want to add anything to that? And then you can tell people where they are. But I think it's important, isn't it, that us Spurs fans have to stick together now. We have to stick together. We've had too much division. And it's important we stick together, isn't it? It has to be that rallying call
No,
all
look,
together.
I understand it, but the reality is
Mhm.
someone like what Pochettino achieved, where you go and win games
Yeah.
consistently, that's what brings people together. When you're up and down the way we are, people have different of opinions, people have different
Yeah.
ways of getting back to where we were under Poch, etc., etc. So it's naturally just going to cause that divide. I think the big problem in the world is no one wants to listen to each other's opinions. The minute you say opinion someone doesn't agree with, they're on you, they're attacking you and stuff like that. And I think that's the big problem in the world, to be honest.
I think so. I do, bud. Where can people find you? And when you're doing your fan show, bud?
Yeah, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. I think we might be running it this evening, Darmo, to be honest with you. But I'll be quite frank with you. I'm not in a great mood today, so I don't even know if it's wise me being on camera today. So we'll see.
Please, please. I just want to see how you. Please, I want to hear Ryan's opinion of last night's game. Please. See, Nelly made you smile there. Nelly made you giggle. I want to say big up to Leo, the other man who wants me to go and put my David Bowie album on. He says, we don't have the players at the moment. We need it. We need a defense. We need a Defoe and Sheridan. Correct. Right now, we are players short, so I don't expect much. Great. I want to say big up to everyone who's came up tonight. Tequila, big up Dermo, Dave and Dermo. Thanks for the stream. Sorry for the stuff in chat. Just got to defend myself. Thanks for the stream. Look, I understand it, mate. Look, you're part of the channel. I'll have you back. And he was banned in the end. maybe the mods should have been a bit quicker. There are mods in the chat. You know who you are. We're a bit better. We do allow people to have to say on here, but respect is a major thing. It's a big thing in my book, as well as they. But do get over to the Irish Hotspur, the mothership to this channel. That was the channel that brought alive THFC to with Die, brought me to YouTube. And I've got my own fan club and your channel as well, Dave, which you will enjoy my presence. What do you reckon, Dave, Saturday? Score prediction. Go on. Be confident. Come on, be positive.
Look, no, of course. I want to beat Chelsea. I want to win every game. That's why I'm pissed off last night, because we didn't win the game. I thought it was our best chance of trying to deliver a trophy and stuff like that. So, look, I'm hoping if we can nick it 2-1, 1-0. I think any other scoreline outside of that is unreasonable. You know, we don't score a lot of goals. We're not free-flowing. So I think a 1-0, 2-1 is achievable. Let's wait and see. But like I said, the pressure's on that game after last night.
Yeah, I think if he loses that, I think questions might start being asked, Dave. I'm going for a 2-1. That's it. Guys, do join us next Thursday for Irish Lads Talk Spurs. We will be going over the Copenhagen game. We will be going over the Chelsea game. A lot more to get into. And then we've got the Man United game to look forward to as well. We are gearing up with the Manchester United agenda as well. So we're doing a podcast with them. We're doing the Tottenham Man United All-11. And also we're having a debate between me and Mr. B. Why Tottenham are the greatest side in the world. He's going to say why Manchester United are the greatest team in the world. And we're all going to agree that I was right, he was wrong, and Tottenham are the best. And that's going to be the end of that debate. We're also Wayne send 7-0. Wayne, look, I love you, man. But if they win 7-0, I do the post-match show in my underpants. There you go. That's how confident I know we're not going to win 7-0. And nobody wants to see me doing the Gary Lineker. But guys, that is it. We're going to let Dave get on with these. So we've got a lot what to get up to, Dave, for the weekend.
Yeah, look, I've going to get all my content ready for the game ahead on Saturday. And then, to be honest with you, get that over and done with. And then Sunday, I'll be chilling out, Dermo.
Yeah. Football Manager coming out soon.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't even know if I'm going to get the new one. I'm sort of enjoying FIFA this year, so I'll probably leave it off.
It's free on Game Pass.
Yeah, I know, but look, I might visit later on in the year. I don't think I'm going to get it. I think it comes out on the day of my birthday, actually.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I know. I've got a little gift for you I'm buying for you, Dave. It will be winging its way to you, bro. For me, yeah, I've got to get the play rating show done for tonight and the post-match stuff for tonight. And then, yeah, I've got to get all the stuff ready for tomorrow and the weekend. So, yeah, busy time being the content creator. The only chance me and Dave get up. Oh, one more question before we leave, Dave. I meant to ask it to come out of my head. Festive season. No games on Boxing on St. Stephen's Day.
Yeah, that's shocking. That's shocking.
Yeah, I meant to ask you on that. What's your view on that?
I don't like it. For me, I love the festive fixture list. I love the games on Boxing Day and stuff. It sort of gets you out of bed the next day after Christmas. You know what I mean? I don't like that.
Yeah. No, it's going to be weird, isn't it? Having
it's going to be very weird. It's going to be very weird. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. Anyway,
yeah, only one game on St. Stephen's Day.
I suppose more time to enjoy with the family, I suppose, which isn't a bad thing.
It is more time spent with the family, and also because of the games being on Saturday this year, the Premier League didn't want to disrupt the usual it's all because of TV companies. They're throwing the toys out of their pram. But look, we're only supporters. We get no say in the matter. But guys, thank you all for watching. Do hit the like, do hit the subscribe if you can. We're on the march for 3K. Dave's on the march to 19K. Yeah, it's a big difference. We're coming to catch you, Mr. Harris. We are. We're on our way. But yeah, do hit a like on both channels. And look, Rayman, if you're around, if me and Dave, right with Dave, we'll get you on next week if you're around to join me and Dave. That would be interesting. But yeah, get in touch and we'll get you on the podcast next week. So, but what are you doing? Come on, you Spurs. In Thomas Frank we trust. We never stop. That's not very enthusiastic, Dave. Come on. Where's your inner Tottenham? Come on.
I told you, I'm just pissed off after last night. Of course, big game on the weekend. I want to win it. Come on, you Spurs.
That's it. Exactly. That's good enough for me. Come on, you Spurs.